Viewers, what a day it's been. Within hours of the NDA government notifying the rules to operationalize the CAA, spontaneous celebrations have broken out in Rajasthan, Bengal, Assam. Here, mostly Hindus who fled Islamist terrorism from Pakistan and Bangladesh, as you can see on your screens, are now hoping to become equal stakeholders, viewers. Equal stakeholders in Indian society by being conferred citizenship. For too long, viewers, they have existed as pariahs. As pariahs thanks to the discrimination that has been meted out to them because they are not taught to be Indian enough. Citizenship status will of course allow these people who have been living in a purgatory to get jobs in the formal economy and access welfare benefits thus far denied to them. Viewers, they will become confident, most importantly, participatory members of our society. Their children will get access to government schools and health care. And most importantly, viewers, they will get dignity. What really helps their cause is that the new rules notified on Monday have been further relaxed. Now, instead of passports and other statutory documents like residential permits, quote, any document, unquote, will be treated as acceptable proof to establish their country of origin. Any document, viewers. Certificate from local body member enough to prove date of entry and most importantly to ensure that local authorities don't act arbitrarily under political pressure. Viewers, as you can see on your screens in just a few seconds, these relaxed rules mean that there will be much less pressure on these refugees to prove that they were the victims of Islamist extremism, bigotry, and discrimination. Viewers, to ensure that local authorities don't act arbitrarily under political pressure, a central panel, not a district collector, will handle applications. Many a times, viewers, many a times, locals don't want these individuals to integrate into society. Viewers, especially if these individuals happen to be in minority-dominated areas in India. And there are plenty of those on the Bangladesh border, viewers. So Hindus who have been fleeing persecution from there will be really treated with contempt. And that has been the case. Viewers, what all this means really is that every Indian should be accepting the CAA. But the notification of CAA rules has led to an unfortunate pushback from a number of opposition rule states. There, the ruling parties are vowing to not implement the CAA in their state as they claim it is violative of the right to equality as it denies Muslim refugees equality before the law in India. Who are these chief ministers? Pinarayi Vijayan, Kerala Chief Minister, says CAA treats Muslim minorities as second-class citizens. Viewers, he makes no distinction between Indian and foreign. He almost assumes as if the CAA will rob Indian Muslims of their citizenship. Viewers, this is a misreading of the law. Mr. Vijayan goes on to say Kerala stands united against communal and divisive law, and therefore we will not implement it in our state. In neighboring Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, again the chief minister of that state, says BJP's divisive agenda has been weaponized. Beacon of humanity, now a tool of discrimination. Viewers, the law, the constitution, Mr. M.K. Stalin is referring to. The BJP has betrayed Muslims and Sri Lankan Tamils, Tamil Nadu government has taken a stand against the CAA. Mamata Banerjee, viewers, so West Bengal, the chief minister there is no place for CAA in West Bengal. BJP's political instigation before elections, she calls it, viewers, an instigation before elections. The law was passed by Parliament in 2019. There were no elections then, at least not to any constituencies in West Bengal. Arvind Kejriwal, the Delhi Chief Minister, member of the AAP, founder in fact of the AAP, he says, and I quote, whole nation opposes implementation of the CAA. The whole nation, he says, viewers. BJP is creating a vote bank out of foreigners. Viewers, we all forget, and perhaps some need to be reminded, that for years altogether, opposition parties in certain borderline states of our country have been turning illegals into vote banks by giving them citizenry or documents that establish their citizenry. But the opposition political parties who have been swayed by a number of activists and Muslim organizations to block the CAA in their states may not have the legal right to do so, viewers. In fact, the CAA, and here are some more hard facts. And remember, viewers, I always bring you these hard facts so that you get closer to the truth. What these state governments are not telling you, viewers, these opposition-ruled state governments, is that the Citizenship Act has been implemented under the union list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. Now, viewers, that means that the states cannot legislate. They can do nothing. Unless and until, of course, they declare themselves independent of the union. That's the only way, viewers, they can block the CAA. Only Parliament can make and amend union list laws. Article 246 gives sole jurisdiction to Parliament. States can't refuse to implement citizenship laws. States can't override laws passed as per the union list. States' refusal to implement citizenship laws is legally untenable, viewers. This is what the facts say. The BJP has slammed the opposition of fear-mongering over the CAA. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the opposition is in denial over Islamist hate and doesn't want to acknowledge the existence of persecuted Hindus for the fear of upsetting Muslim groups who claim that they in turn are victims of Islamophobia here in our country. So what Mr. Shah is saying is that these state governments don't want to bring an equation between refugee Hindus, Sikhs, Christians and Muslims living here who claim that they are being discriminated against. Shah claims that opposition relies on minority votes in prioritizing their interests even at the cost of denying refugees from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh a legal shield against Islamist bigotry. Are they right, viewers? Are they right? Let's go straight across to Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani, Member of Parliament, Legal Eagle. Mr. Jethmalani, thank you very much for speaking to me. Now, the opposition, let's get the main points out of the way. Good evening, sir. The first and foremost opposition point that has been raised is that this reasonable classification created under the CAA is ultra vires of the Constitution as it's arbitrary and is against the right to equality, i.e., it basically discriminates against Muslims. How do you respond to this?
Well, first of all, this, as you pointed out at the outset, this is an act which promotes inclusion of refugees. It doesn't promote exclusion of anybody, right? Now, it is true that the act is mainly concerned with refugees from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, and they include the refuge given to Sikhs, Parsis, Hindus, Jains, 6 denominations in some, right? It excludes Muslims. Now, the idea of the whole act and the experience on the ground, remember this is refugees who came into India prior to 2014, right? So it is time specific as well. But the whole intent is that the vast majority of refugees have suffered religious persecution. The Act seeks to protect refugees who have come to India as a result of religious persecution. And the countries by and large responsible, right, for this religious persecution and the influx of refugees are Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. Now that to some extent is inherent in the nature of those governments that rule the states, those countries. For instance, they are all Islamic republics. So there is now, to take the most friendly of all the three countries so far as we are concerned, Afghanistan was until very recently the Taliban came, while we do have a modicum of good relations with the Taliban government. The fact of the matter is, its government is an Islamic government, right? And there are refugees still coming to India from Taliban persecution. But you take Bangladesh, for instance, with which we have the greatest of relations. I mean, Sheikh Hasina has been an eternal friend of India. As recently as February 2023, 14 temples were vandalized in that country. 14 temples. In orchestrated attempts, one after the other. There was a continuous orchestration. Then you look at the statistics. In Bangladesh, in 1951, the percentage of the Hindu Sikh population in Bangladesh was 22%. In 22, it's come down to 8%. Most of them are refugees. They've been driven out. So obviously, when you have repression as a result, or oppression as a result of the inherent nature of an Islamic republic, a bigoted population turning upon the minorities, the country, undivided India, right? Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, right, is going to look after citizens of the origin of this country, the predominant religion of this country, the Hindus, because they are going to be the main victims of persecution, right? You don't expect Islamic countries to persecute religious persecution of Muslims. That's a non sequitur. So the purpose of the act is religious persecution by a theocracy of minorities in that country by its people, or by its state, or by the state.
Okay.
Given that, the complaint is totally misconceived. This argument that is discriminatory against Muslims is misconceived. They are the ones who create the refugee problem. They are the perpetrators of the refugee issue. So it stands to reason that there will be an exclusion of Muslims from this category of refugees that will be protected. And experience has shown that on the ground, the bulk of the refugees are indeed Hindus and Sikhs or Jains.
So you're basically saying that this has been brought in to provide a shield, a lifeline to Hindus, Sikhs and people of non-Muslim origins or denominations who live in Islamic theocracies conjoined to our borders or adjuncted to our borders, so that they can be given shelter here. Okay, what do you say to the likes of the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Mr. M.K. Stalin? He says that the reason he claims this is pointedly against Muslims is because there are Hindus who are being persecuted also in Sri Lanka, and of course there are Hindus that are persecuted, Hindu Rohingyas, a minority within a minority, that are persecuted in Myanmar.
Well, the idea of this act is twofold, as I said. One is, what is the existing situation in India prior to 2014? The bulk of those people, almost more than 95% of those refugees, right, are from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. That's the factual situation. Secondly, as I said earlier, it is a question of religious persecution. Now, what is happening in Bangladesh, right, is what is happening on the Rohingya issue is an ethnic issue, right? There is no purging in Myanmar,
right,
of a non-Rohingya Muslim population. The Burmese, as they formerly were, had never accepted the nationality of the Rohingyas in the Rakhine part of Burma.
Right.
They've always felt that they were an import of the British for forced labor. into the state of Burma, the then state of Burma. So it's an ethnic issue. It's not a religious issue. It's not persecution on religious grounds. Right? So also, if you know, the Ahmadiyyas, that's another sect.
Yes.
It's a sect. Now, these are intra-sect disputes, right? It's not religious persecution. It's some, post-Quranic sort of interpretation of who is the successor and who is the true Muslim, etc. Who
Yes.
really follows the lineage of the Prophet,
Right.
and who is a true Muslim, right? So why should India get into these purely, esoteric distinctions of intra-religious warfare, such as exist in the Islamic states?
Finally,
Those are, you persecute people and throw them on any ground, and today's perpetrators might tomorrow be tomorrow's victims,
yes.
depending on which sect within that religion prevails.
So the objectives
So
you are
we are
saying.
concerned with genuine refugee. Sorry.
So basically, you're saying that the law is in consonance with its objective, and that objective is to prevent or to give a shield to some refugees against religious persecution, not ethnic, not any other form of persecution, only religious. Okay, fair enough. Last question to you, Mr. Jethmalani. There are people who say, especially, and some from the BJP in Assam itself, they say that, look, under the Assam Accords, the cut-off date to process citizenship applications was 1971. But the CAA moves the needle forward to December 31st, 2014, enlarging, obviously, the number of applicants, which creates certain complications on the ground in Assam, where, of course, both Hindus and Muslims of Bengali origin are resented to some extent by the Assamese. So I just want to ask you, does this mean, does the CAA now in some way or the other work to the detriment of the Assam Accords? Because that matter is also in the courts right now.
No, not at all. The matter is in the courts, you're right. But on the ground, there's no turbulence on this issue in Assam. The Chief Minister of Assam has welcomed this. So I see this as being a non-issue. I mean, they're just trying to muddle the issues really involved over here. The issue, the 1971 issue which concerns Assam is very much in court and will be decided according to law.
Okay. Mr. Jethmalani, thank you very much for setting the record straight. Remember,
Thank you.
viewers, this is a legal opinion that has come from Mr. Jethmalani, who is a very respected lawyer and constitutionalist. So he does know what he's talking about. The matter, as you know, is sub judice. Large number of applications have been filed against the CAA, not today, a few years ago, in fact. The last hearing took place a couple of years ago. One was scheduled for now, but hasn't taken place. We're still awaiting word on that. But viewers, this matter is, of course, being looked upon by the Supreme Court, examined. But let's open this up, because if the constitutionalists believe that the law is on firm ground, then what's really the problem? Is a veto, are political compulsions really behind all of this? And that's the specific point we need to ask today. And I want to first begin with Professor Mondal once again. Professor Mondal, look, I have some numbers on my screen, and it does show that in Bengal, for instance, this is a major factor. The CAA will, of course, influence minorities. 34% is the influence across very many constituencies. The swing factor in 4 seats, possibly even more. Some people say even 8 seats. So you have therefore decided to allow the Muslim community there to have a veto over a central law, which will be serving as a lifeline to Hindus. The BJP says more pointedly that, look, you are trying to deny that there is Islamist radicalism directed towards Hindus and other minorities in these 3 countries that border India, because you want to continuously argue about Islamophobia. How do you respond to this? Professor.
Your question in a way suggests that the law is communal. That's why you have brought in this minority issue in Bengal. I will answer your question, but before that, I think the statistics that Mr. Jetmalani was referring to, if you look at the 100-year census since 1901 or 1911, the maximum number of influx from Bangladesh took place during these two turbulent periods between 1941 and 1951, obviously because of the first partition, and again between 1961 and 1974. Because in 1971 there was no census because of the war between Bangladesh and East Pakistan. And you know that in Bangladesh war India participated, and that's history. During that point of time, only 5 to 6% of Hindus jumped or crossed border to India. And most of them, since 1951, most of them, in fact, all of them are now Indian citizens. Now, case in point is Assam after 1971, where people who even came before 1971, 12 lakhs of them are Hindus, are in detention camp. They are known as D-voters. Now, what you effectively were going to do by bringing this law for them, because mind you, this law was principally recommended by Mr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma. He made Amit Shah recommended that this law must be implemented before NRC is put into place, because these 12 lakh Bengalis are Hindu Bengalis, they are suffering in the detention camp. Now what they will have to do if they want to apply within this law, they have to first declare themselves as Bangladeshi. Because in Assam, largely this refugees or the people who are suffering in the detention camp are from Bangladesh. So they have to declare that they are Bangladeshi. They have to surrender their Indian Aadhaar card, voter card, whatever, and then they can apply for this law. And even then, there will be serious scrutiny before they are granted citizenship. I think this is a jumla of worst kind before the election.
Okay.
I would say this is, I think, the narrative of fascinating deceit.
Very quickly,
Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah,
Professor Mondal, very quickly,
this country before the election.
Very quickly, Professor Mondal, very quickly. The Chief Minister says she's not going to allow the CAA to be implemented. How can she do that? Is that not a jumla? Sorry, are you not fooling the voters?
I tell you, in Bengal, I've given you the statistics, we do not need such law, but the people, whoever is residing in Bengal, all of them are Bengali citizens, especially our Motua brothers and sisters.
Oh, right.
70 lakhs of them.
That's why they are voting for the BJP and celebrating the CAA.
Most of them came from, they are not voting for BJP.
Well, they are celebrating the CAA, sir, and it's there. But they are also voting for the BJP.
One part of them are celebrating, right?
One part.
Only one, this is BJP's part, yes.
Oh, the BJP part.
Influenced by the BJP.
Okay.
Mamta Bala Thakur.
Because I don't know who's dividing on the basis now.
TMC's MP, right?
Okay.
And Bina Pani Devi was TMC's favorite mother.
Right.
Everyone knows in this
Let me also tell our viewers.
We don't want any CAA in Bengal because that is redundant.
Okay. Fair enough, viewers. The state governments cannot decide that they will not implement this law without being in contempt, viewers. So let me put that out there. I've already mentioned this. This is a fact. Can't be challenged. This law, as you know, viewers, has been implemented under the union list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution, and we've given you the details already. So that cannot be done. That's perhaps the biggest jumla here, but that I'll come to in just a few moments. Sanju Verma, you were raising your arm. You want to respond to Professor Monojit Mondal. Why are you insisting on a law that Mr. Mondal and the TMC says is so discriminatory?
Okay. Rahul, I will start by giving out some very pertinent data because, the BJP has been very clear right from the start that the CAA has nothing to do with Indian Muslims. The CAA only seeks to give legitimate citizenship status to persecuted minorities from Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Now, you must be aware because you do number crunching yourself. There were 7 lakh Sikhs in Afghanistan way back in 1970s. Then come 1992, after the Afghan civil war, the number of Sikh population reduced dramatically from 7 lakh odd to about 2,20,000. You will be surprised to know that even at the start of 2021, just on the eve of the Taliban capturing Afghanistan, there were only 400 Sikhs And that number by the end of 2021 had fallen to 150. 150 Sikhs only from 7 lakh Sikhs in 1970s. Now, for the longest time, Pakistan does not have a population census that has been conducted there, but nobody is surprised. In the 1990s, Pakistan had 20,000 Sikhs. Primarily, they stayed in the Khyber Pukhtunkhwa area of the Peshawar region or in the Nankana Sahib region of Punjab province. From 20,000, it is said that today, not even 1,000 Sikhs are there in Pakistan. Now, let's come to Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, in 1974, there were 83,000 Protestant Christians. Today, that number is less than 8,000 Protestant Christians, Baha'is, people who follow Judaism, put together are less than 0.8% of Bangladeshi population. The reason I gave out data on Sikhs, Christians, and of course Hindus who've come down from a percentage of 27% in Karachi to barely 2.5%. What does this show? It shows that in Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Pakistan, be it Christians, be it the Sikh community or Hindus, they have been persecuted because when numbers come down 20-fold, 10-fold, it is not an organic fall in numbers, but it is because of persecution. People have fled those countries and have sought refuge in various places, including India. So first and foremost, has there been persecution? There has been persecution for the longest time. Are Muslims a minority in Bangladesh? No. Are Muslims a minority in Pakistan? No. Are Muslims a minority in Afghanistan? No. So for you to say why the law does not talk about Muslims in these three countries, because Muslims in these three countries are a majority. That is the second point. Third point, why is it that the law is only limited to persecuted minorities from Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan? Why not from Nepal? Why not from Mauritius? Why not from Maldives? Why not from Moldova? All I'm going to tell the Congress and the other side is, you come to power, you can give protection, rehabilitation and preservation to minorities even staying in Timbuktu and Botswana. Currently, the Modi government is in power. It has decided that we will focus on Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan. आइए सत्ता में Timbuktu के लिए कानून बनाइए. My fourth point, please bear with me for 20 seconds. My fourth and most important point: the BJP has not done anything new. On the 8th of April 1950, 1950, Pandit Nehru and Liaquat Ali signed a pact for the rehabilitation, protection and preservation of minorities in both countries, India and Pakistan. Unfortunately, on the 8th of, unfortunately, in October 1951, Rahul, what is this?
Please, Professor
I'm just
Monoji
finishing my
Bondol,
argument.
please. She never interrupted you.
Mr.
Let her
Mandal?
finish. Let her finish. You can come back and respond. No problem.
Yeah.
Let's be civil. Yes. Yeah.
In 1951, unfortunately, Liaquat Ali died. But Gulzari Lal Nanda, who was the Labour and Employment Minister of Nehru and the Home Minister under Nehru, said later after Nehru's demise that if there is one thing Nehru should have done and he did not do, it was implementing the Nehru-Liaquat Pact.
Fair enough.
I ask you, Rahul, just give me 10 seconds. I heard you.
Okay, I need to move on. 8 minutes.
Just 10 seconds. I ask you one question. You are blaming the Modi government for notifying the rules after 4 years. Who was in power from 1950 to 2014?
Fair enough. Let me bring it. I get it. Mr. Chaudhary.
The Congress did nothing.
Mr.
And
Chaudhary.
you are blaming us for being 4 years late.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary. Well, okay, the timing will always be called into question. There are many from within the BJP's own ecosystem that have a problem with the timing, but that's a different issue. We are not discussing that. We're just discussing really on substance and merit the problem, or the existence of a problem in opposition ranks with the CA. Now, Mr. Chaudhary, very quickly coming to you. You see, Professor Mondol said that this law has been inspired by Himanta Biswa Sarma. I'm going to cite to you Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's letter written in 1949 asking then Chief Minister of Assam, Mr. Gopinath Bordoloi, to quote, absorb refugees from East Pakistan, and implored him to differentiate between Hindu refugees and Muslim migrants. Was Nehru also communal, sir? Chaudhary Saab.
Yeah, you have raised a very important point.
Yeah.
Those who know the Assam's history and division of Sylhet district, erstwhile Bangladesh, and the Lord Redcliffe line that was drawn between Bangladesh and India, you all must know that the first chief minister of Assam, or rather the last prime minister of Assam, as he was known, Lokpriya Gopinath Bordoloi, he was very much against getting a part of Bengali-dominated Sylhet district into the Indian Union. It was Jawaharlal Nehru along with Abdul Muttalib Mazumdar who toured the entire area of now present Kachar district, Karimganj district, and requested the people for the plebiscite to join the Indian Union. That was the history, and Hindus and Muslims together voted 100% to remain within the Indian Union. That was the history. You can just fact check me. Your viewers can fact check. But that's the cruel part of the history that we have got in Assam. Now come the 1983 riots in which 3,000 Muslims were massacred in Delhi because of the Assam disturbances that was there. The Assam Gana Sangram Parishad, the Assam Students Union raised a upheaval on foreigners issue. It was called Bengali Khadao Andolan in Assam. And we eventually, Rajiv Gandhi led to a Assam Accord of 1985, wherein it was decided that 21st of March 1971 will be the cutoff date.
Yes.
Now, what does the CA do?
No, 1 second, sir. That matter, I need to interfere because that matter is before the courts. I don't want to prejudge that. No, please, sir. On that issue, I can't.
Please, that
is. No, he also didn't. He also said it was before the courts and the courts will resolve that. No, Mr. Chaudhary, please. Please be reasonable, Mr. Chaudhary.
Rahul, you allowed BJP spokesperson.
No, but I can't. This is a matter that's, sir, that is a matter that is before the courts. It's being heard right now. I cannot allow you to influence.
I'm in contempt of the court.
Sir, please. My channel will be dragged into this. Please, 1 second. 1 second. No over speaking, please. No, 1 second. Mr. Chaudhary, let me just rewind back to the question I asked you. Please, sir. Please go along with me. I beg you. Don't get me and the channel, you know how courts are sensitive, etc., etc. We'll all end up in a soup, sir.
I thought you debate on hard facts. When I'm
No,
stating
I know, but no, sir, this matter is,
very
sir, the Assam Accord is under the cutoff, etc., is being challenged.
Now you
Sir,
okay, I will not discuss the Assam Accord. Fine with you?
Sir, I'm talking.
2014?
Yes, please. Yes.
Now, what does the CA say? All those people who have been here till December 31st, 2014 are termed as illegal migrants into India who deserve a citizenship under this act.
Yes.
Now come to the entire conclusion out here.
Yes.
How many number of refugees has the government quantified as of now in India? The United Nations Council of Refugees, Refugees says that 46,000 refugees are registered in India. But we had an NRC in Assam wherein we had 20 lakh people who were denied their citizenship because they could not provide proper citizenship documents out here.
Sir,
now,
the criteria have now also been relaxed. No, the criteria for proof has been relaxed. You know this. I only asked you a simple question. It was a question on spirit. And the spirit was that the Prime Minister of the day, Prime Minister Nehru, he wrote to Mr. Bordoloi, the Chief Minister of the day in 1949 and said, please allow, differentiate between, please absorb refugees from East Pakistan on the argument that they would have to be differentiated between Hindus and Muslims. That's exactly what the CA does now. It actually draws in spirit from Nehruji's acceptance that there is, unfortunately, Islamist hate directed towards Hindus, Sikhs, Parsis, Christians, Jains. Now,
Rahul,
was he, I'm only asking you, sir, was he anti-Muslim? Just very quickly, yes or no, please.
Now, honestly speaking, I told you what happened during those times.
Now, there is no straight answer. Okay, let me bring in Dr. Raman. No, 1 second. Dr. Raman, these governments, one by one, are now saying, whether it is Kerala, whether it is Tamil Nadu, where you are, or West Bengal or Delhi, that they will not implement the CAA. Can A, this be done? And B, most importantly, sir, most importantly, do not people who have suffered genuinely and denied their dignity for all these years deserve recompense, citizenship, a lifeline?
Rahul, first of all, 2 points. One, the CAA, have people in neighboring countries been persecuted? Of course, they have been persecuted. Second, is it possible for state governments to unilaterally say that we will not implement a central law? It is not possible, at least not without falling foul of the law. So that is not going to be possible. What they can do is they can non-cooperate to the maximum extent. The committees that are formed to recommend the names at the district level, then from the district level to the state headquarters. So their representative, and there also, I don't know how railway superintendents and post office staff will now, according to the circular which has been issued yesterday, how they will be able to be part of these committees and be able to. I think the basic idea is, I think 5 members from the center and only 1 from the representative from the state government and so on. The basic idea is to take the state governments out of the equation. Now, that again is not right, but state governments cannot block it. Now, coming to the issue of persecution. One of the largest persecuted groups in Pakistan is also the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. In fact, in Pakistan, the problem is they are not considered as Muslims by large segments of the Pakistani establishment. Now, they have been persecuted. I saw Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani just, say that is a sectarian matter between 2 sects of the same religion and so on. It may be the case. The fact remains that they are persecuted. Whether it is a sectarian matter or whether it is between 2 groups within the same religion is a different issue. The fact remains that statistics say 197 mosques of the Ahmadiyya community were broken down in just the last 3 years. And, many of them have been injured, many of them have been killed. So if we are looking at persecution, they are also a persecuted group.
Okay.
Sri Lanka, right, our southern neighbor, has got...
Okay. Let him finish, please. What is the problem?
There are Tamils who are persecuted. And many of them are 1 minute. Madam, I did not even open my mouth for 30 minutes.
I did not mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
You can continue with your monologue.
Yeah. It's not a monologue. Anyway, never mind. Now, Rahul, you take Sri Lanka. The majority of the Tamils who have been persecuted, many of them are Hindus also.
Yes.
So I don't understand this rationale of saying that we will bring a law, it will apply only to Muslim neighbors around us, and we will take in only non-Muslims. I mean, that is as discriminatory as it gets. You can put whatever cover you want to it. But the fact remains that it is discriminatory fundamentally.
Respond to that before I wind up. Yes.
Thank you. Rahul, yes, Mr. Sumansi Raman is right when he says that Baluchis, Hazaras, Ahmadiyyas, to a large extent, they have been disenfranchised, they have been persecuted, but they are not a minority. Please understand, within the Muslim group, there may be sections, who may be persecuted, but as a class, Muslims are the majority in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and this law, Mr. Raman, deals with persecuted minorities. And my last point, if an Ahmadiyya or a Baluchi or a Hazara wants Indian citizenship, he can still do that by applying via the naturalization route, via the Citizenship Act of 1955. The only thing he has to do is, he has to stay in India for 12 years. And prior to applying, he has to stay in India for 11 months consecutively without any gap. So if an Ahmadiyya feels he's persecuted, let him apply for Indian citizenship under the naturalization route.
And they do, and they get it also. So there is no question of denying anyone. This is a fast tracking of those religious minorities. Viewers, please understand, the words are religious minorities. Religious minorities. That is the classification. That really is the reasonable classification. Now that is being tested also, viewers, in court. The hearings actively have not begun. Petitions have been filed. Once they do, we won't even be able to have these informed discussions for the fear of basically, viewers, in some way or the other prejudicing the court's mind. So we're lucky that we can talk about it because the evidence and all of that part of the hearings haven't, only written submissions have been put forth. Hearings will hopefully happen very soon. They were supposed to actually happen, viewers, 2 years ago. I don't know why the Supreme Court has gone silent on this. This is really bizarre. This matter needs to be quickly. In fact, if I were you, viewers, give it some thought. India should actually legislate, hard code into the constitution a right to return for Hindus. After all, viewers, where else in the world can Hindus seek refuge? Perhaps Nepal. That's all. Hard code the right to return. Israel has it, even though constitutionally, specifically constitutionally, Israel is not or does not have an official state religion. It might be a Jewish state, but it doesn't have an official state religion. And they have a right to return for Jews. Think about that, viewers.